Following the breakout of Allied landing forces in Normandy, German divisions scrambled to escape the encirclement at Falaise. In the process, many divisions lost cohesion as they filtered through the Allied lines westwards to reach defensive positions on the Seine. In late August, Commander von Kaltitz was ordered to hold Paris, an impossible task given his resources. To the south, the poorly performing 48th Infantry Division could not be contacted and was retreating westwards. To the east, a disorganized mess of shattered retreating divisions, including the 352nd, and new conscripts were cobbled together into a defense. In Paris proper were 5,000 to 10,000 lightly armed troops of the 325th Security Division. In terms of heavy equipment, Kaltitz had only a few dozen tanks, artillery pieces, and anti-air turned anti-tank guns scattered across the entire Paris area. Feeling the German weakness, the French populace began an uprising on the 19th of August. In the early morning, 2,000 Free French aligned police officers took over the police prefecture and nearby hospital. Seeing this, the communist wing of the resistance occupied the Hôtel de Ville city hall and mobilized its members. However, most people in the prefecture had no guns, and the ones who did were running dangerously low on ammunition by the end of the day. Fortunately for the uprising, a temporary ceasefire was negotiated on the 20th, saving the prefecture. However, the uprising put up dozens of barricades to hamper German movement and occupied nearly every mairie or town hall. Though the Germans still patrolled the streets in armored vehicles, they had effectively lost control of the city, except for where they had concentrated their forces around important buildings. On the 21st, the ceasefire had completely collapsed and fighting resumed in full force. Retreating German troops found Paris difficult to navigate. On the 22nd, American troops approached Paris from the south and east, but were ordered to bypass Paris to avoid costly and destructive city fighting. On the 23rd, fighting in Paris reached a peak. The resistance retook the Grand Palais after a bomb and tank attack. Skirmishes happened all around Paris, with heavy fighting taking place at the Military Academy Barracks, Senate Building, and Republic Square. German morale began to collapse, however, and hundreds of German troops attempted to flee the city through its train stations, but were killed and captured by the resistance at the end of the day. At the same time, Allied High Command had been convinced that the Germans were near collapse and finally allowed Leclerc's 2nd Free French Armored Division, accompanied by the US 4th Division, to move on Paris, albeit with instructions to avoid heavy fighting. Leclerc's division was slowed by both German defense and liberated French citizens who crowded the tanks. Still, the Germans were beaten by the 24th and they continued their long retreat. On the 25th, with regular Free French Army troops roaming the city, the remaining German soldiers retreated into strongpoints. The 7th Regiment of the Panzerlehr Division attempted to relieve the Paris garrison but was repelled by the resistance. Regiment L took the Arc of Triumph at 1 p.m. After a short tank battle, German High Command France at Hotel Majestic surrendered. Next, Regiment V took von Kaltitz's headquarters at Hôtel Meurice, and he signed the general German surrender of Paris. This convinced the holdouts at the Military Academy and Republican Square to surrender. Finally, French tanks and resistance members stormed the last German holdout at the Senate, ending the 4-year German presence in the city.